Hi everyone. In today's video, I am going to show you the final part of the Bandai Real Grade 1 to 144 scale Sinanju plastic model kit video series. Now in this final part, I'm going to do a quick review of the fully built and custom painted Sinanju, as well as have a look at its accessories like its weapons and its shield, and also take a look at the Sinanju in various dynamic poses, both with and without its weapon. So let's get started. We will begin the review on this Real Grade Sinanju by taking a look at the articulation points and having a look at how well the movement possibilities are for this plastic model kit. And as we go along, we also have a look at some issues that will arise and discuss further on those matters. So let's begin our closer look at the Sinanju by seeing the movement on its head. Now the movement is fairly standard, going up and down, but as you can see, the neck piece has come loose. This seems to be an ongoing issue with the kit in general. Because the kit has so many parts, a lot of them tend to come loose as you are fiddling with them. So I can foresee a lot of issues when we want to do poses which involve a lot of movement of the arms or legs or head or the backpack. I think a lot of parts will come loose. Moving on to the shoulder, there are some movement on the shoulder armor pieces. And as for the arm, it can extend reasonably high and it can bend at the elbow all the way towards its torso. And when the elbow is bent, you can see the inner section exposed, and that gives you a good glimpse of the metallic parts inside. The metallic parts inside have been painted, while the red armor outside is as is original plastic molded colors. Now I'm opening up the cockpit area of the Sinanju. It's a cool gimmick but kind of useless because they did not include, as far as I know, a seated pilot with this kit. Now the side skirts have ample movement, at least enough. So there a piece of its knee armor has fallen off, reinforcing what I said earlier. A lot of parts will tend to come loose as you fiddle with the limbs. So as you can see, the legs can turn all the way to the side, like so, and it can extend all the way in a almost 90 degree split. The legs can bend at the knee, thus exposing the inner section similar to the elbow that you saw on the arms earlier. It's a good degree of movement in terms of the bend that you can do on the knee. So the posing possibilities are actually quite good. Now as you can see, the side rocket verniers has come loose. I don't really blame the kit per se in terms of having so many loose parts, because the good compromise to it is that there's so much detail to the kit. Having so many parts to the kit gives it a tremendous amount of detail, and I guess the bad point of it is that some parts will come loose. Now the feet has a limited bend, but it can move around at the ankle, so there are some posing possibilities there. It's not completely stiff. The torso is a bit weak where it connects to the waist. Depending on the weight distribution of the Sinanju, it most likely will tend to tilt back. And there goes another part. the right leg has come loose. Anyway, let's move on to the Sinanju's backpack unit. Now, the rocket boosters have a limited 360 movement. It has 2 rocket thrusters at the central piece, with the armor pieces able to be adjusted slightly, and more rocket thrusters to the side, which can swing to give it a forward momentum, or swing all the way to the side, which wouldn't make much sense movement wise except to stop its movement, but it does give it a good angel wing-like look. So that's the rocket thrusters on its backpack unit, which actually can close up as well as reopen up, further reinforcing the many posing possibilities with this kit. I believe the only thing that really limits the posing possibilities for the Real Grade Sinanju is how loose some of the parts are. So you might become frustrated as you pose the Sinanju and have the parts fall out on you. If you can be patient, the posing possibilities, I believe, are very, very good. That then is the rough review of the Sinanju itself. I'm now going to show you some issues that might arise if you wish to pose the Sinanju without an action base and to just stand it on its own 2 feet. So let's have a look at that now. Because the Sinanju's backpack is so heavy, it will topple to the back if you attempt to pose it by just standing it on its own 2 feet. So you will have to make some adjustment to this. What I did here is to stand the Real Grade Sinanju in such a way that the weight distribution does not make it fall over backwards. So as you can see, I adjusted the legs as if the Sinanju is bending forward slightly, thus counterbalancing the heavy backpack unit behind. The end result is the Sinanju does not fall over backwards. But I believe the Sinanju is best if posed with an action base. But before we do that, let's have a look at the Sinanju's accessories, such as its shield and weapons, before we move on to the 360-degree view. So here then are the accessories for the Real Grade Sinanju plastic model kit. These are the weapons, the shield and the hand options that are available for the Sinanju. These parts I have assembled off camera. I'll just take a closer look at them now. So the black, gold and red parts are all as per the molded color plastic, whereas the metallic parts I had painted. Other than that, the details that I've added are the water decals, which I have placed, the white markings, which I'm showing you here now with the wooden stick. Apart from the metallic parts that you saw earlier, most of the other parts were as per the plastic molded colors. Now they also give other hand options. The fingers I painted in a metallic color. They also provide what they call the MS joint hands, but these look kind of bad to me, so I don't believe I'll be using them, especially when I'm displaying the Sinanju. Although the articulation is much better, but the overall look to them, the fingers look too thin and kind of too small for the Real Grade Sinanju itself. So I'll be using the non-movable hands, so to speak, rather than the MS joint hands option that the kit also comes with. That is the left hand options. The right hand option, the other one that they gave was also an MS joint one, and I won't be using that too. This then is the gun that came with the kit. The shiny green piece are the lenses. The shine that you see there actually comes from the foil sticker that Bandai provided with the kit, so they have not been painted. But the gun itself, I have painted using a mixture of mahogany brown or dark brown color with silver metallic color. This is the grenade launcher, I believe, that can be used separately or attached to the gun itself, like so. It kind of looks cooler with both guns attached together, so that is what I'm going to do as the display option for the Real Grade Sinanju. This then is the Sinanju's gun, fully painted and detailed with some foil stickers, as also panel lined with some black wash where applicable. So this is the gun. Now we move on to the Sinanju's beam sabers. This look very tacky to me because although some modelers like the clear yellow saber effects, personally I think they look very bad, very plasticky. I believe these are the heat saber handles, which will have to be readjusted slightly, like what I'm doing now, before the clear effect parts are attached to the metallic parts that I painted. So then this is I believe this is the heat saber, or at least the weapon equivalent. They also have a longer saber effect, which I'm going to put on the other handle. I'll do it now. This makes it look like a sword, more like a sword rather than an axe, which the previous weapon looked like. This is the sword versus the axe earlier. These are the two weapon effects that you can have with the Sinanju. Personally, I don't think they look good, but I do believe some modelers like them. If you think they look good, by all means use them in your display. Personally, I don't believe I will use them for my display other than to just show how it looks like. The handles can be attached together at its base to give you a kind of a pole arm weapon. It's a cool gimmick, but personally it doesn't look that good to me. So that then is the weapons with the clear yellow effect parts. This then is the accessories that the Sinanju come with. Now I'm going to detach the clear effect parts and show you what else you can do with this saber handles that I painted in a metallic color. Behind the shield, there are some connector pieces which allow these handles to attach to, like what I'm doing now. It forms kind of a storage for the handles. If you were to display the Sinanju with these handles, but you do not want to attach the clear effect parts on them, you can always store them behind the shield, like what I'm doing now. This is not the end of the process, because the handles can then shift down like what I'm doing now. The purpose of this is so that the handles are kind of hidden from view if you view them from the other side. Another reason for doing this is some people might still want to attach the clear effect parts on the handles, and if you do so, it will look as if the shield has become a sort of a shield cum blade, like what you're seeing now. Now, as I have said earlier, I'm not a fan of these clear yellow effect parts. I believe they take away from the realistic look of the models. I won't be using them for my display. So let me just remove the effect parts and readjust the handles. Now, I think the part has come loose. A lot of patience is needed if you were to adjust the parts to have the Sinanju look to be in a certain pose. So be careful and be ready to have a lot of parts fall out. That then are the Sinanju's accessories. Let's move on to some 360-degree poses that the Sinanju can make with and without the weapons. We will begin the 360-degree view of the Real Grade Sinanju by having a look at this mobile suit without any of its weapons. Now, during the posing process, a lot of parts fell out on me. It was an extremely frustrating experience. So, although I initially was ambitious and wanted to do a lot of dynamic poses for the Real Grade Sinanju, but in the end, I decided I'm just going to do a simple one like the one you see here now without any of its weapons. I'm going to do one with its guns and shield, which you will see later. I'm not going to do much dynamic poses. The Real Grade Sinanju looks. It is a kit that looks absolutely stunning with just a little bit of work painting the inner frame and other metallic parts, panel lining it, as well as detailing it with water decals. Beginning with my favorite combo, which is the Sinanju with its gun and shield. Now, this is the go-to pose that I would use if I were to display the Real Grade Sinanju with its weapons. I believe the oversized shield that the Sinanju comes with gives it that bit of gravitas. It looks really badass with the shield, and the gun only complements the shield and gives it the perfect combo in my opinion. Now, as I mentioned, I'm not really a fan of the clear effect parts. Those effect parts that are placed on the beam sabers, on the swords and the axes don't really look that good to me in my opinion. But even without its shield, weapons or any special effects attached to the RG Sinanju, you can still see clearly that this is a very good looking scale model kit whose complexity can be clearly seen with just a little bit of extra work being put into it. This then concludes the final part of the Real Grade Sinanju video series. As you can see, the Real Grade Sinanju looks absolutely stunning. It is a piece that I highly recommend, despite a lot of scale modelers having a lot of issues with it, especially in terms of how it is back heavy and some parts keep coming loose and it's quite difficult to pose. But I believe it is a stunning piece that you should have in your display shelf, and it will be a great kit in the sense that if you just pose it in the pose that you want and leave it as it is, then to me it is an excellent must-have kit in your Gundam collection. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you have enjoyed it and found it informative. Please do subscribe to my channel, and as always, have a great day.